Assalamu alaikum, welcome back viewers at home. You're certainly tuned in right here on Prime Live. Now join us in defining moment in the life journey of the former Turkish ambassador, Mrs. Ayşegül Kandaş, and she's joining us this evening to tell us more about, besides her being in the profession, I mean, we've had numerous conversations with her, beautiful work that she's done. I think most recent conversation we had was, us raising funds for the earthquake that had happened in Turkey. But tonight we're really keeping it light, we're keeping it reflection and reflective on all things former Turkish ambassador. But assalamu alaikum and jazakallah so much for joining us.
Selamun alaikum. Thank you so much. Shukran for hosting me.
I mean, Her Excellency, there's so much that individuals know about you on the front of you being an ambassador. But I think it's quite refreshing today that we're going to be taking you through a journey, understanding you as an individual and everything that helped shape your life. And I think I'll start off by asking you, can you tell us a bit about something that not many people know? You have a master's degree in psychology. And I ask that because apparently your parents didn't want you to study psychology, but here you are. Can you take us through that?
Yes. My parents at the time did not want me to write that in the central university examination. You rank the universities, and the jobs that were in fashion those days were economics, business administration, and political science. So these were listed, and psychology came down 10th. That's why I couldn't, in the central university examination, I was accepted to business administration. And so I gave up on that ideal, and it was actually my real passion at the time. But at the end, in my 40s, when I was posted in Northern Cyprus, I decided to do my 4th master's degree in psychology, the one that I wanted. Yeah. The others are all related to the career that I had, related to diplomacy.
Wow, this is quite interesting and quite refreshing, I have to say. And away from that, I believe there are defining moments that you really hold dear to you because they helped, make Her Excellency be who she is today, and they shaped, the ambition and enthusiasm in which you approach things. Can you take us through some of those defining moments?
For instance, so I think everybody has defining moments in their lives. Let's say education is a very important thing, like your formative years. In my during those decisions that I had to take when it came to my education, I think there were a few defining moments that chose the path for me. Like the poem by Robert Frost, The Road Not Taken. I took the road less traveled by. That kind of stuff. For instance, in Turkey, again, you have to pass exams for foreign high schools that were established many years ago by missionaries or, by the United States, Germany, French high school, German high school. So I entered them. I passed the exams of each one. I could enter any one of them. My parents chose the Austrian high school. If I had gone to that one, I would find myself in Austria one day and knowing German. But instead, the upstairs neighbor came one day and talked to my dad and talked him into sending me to an American high school. That changed the path of my life because I started getting an American education at a private American high school, the best one at the time, then an American university, then Fulbright scholarship, getting a master's in the US. So it was that defining moment of that one talk. My parents were convinced. Then the second one, I think, was when I entered business administration, which I wasn't really interested in. A big brother talked to me, a friend whom I regarded as a big brother. He talked to me into transferring from that university to the American university. So, and my GPA at the time matched political science, which I had no clue of. So I could transfer to the American University, Boğaziçi University, Bosphorus University, definitely. So, and I started studying political science. then I said to myself, what can you do with a degree like that? And since I was looking very international, you know, to expand my horizons,
Yeah.
I wanted to represent Turkey abroad. And I was thinking of multilateral institutions. I was thinking of the UN and other such institutions representing Turkey there. Otherwise, I started thinking about being a diplomat. That's how it happened. And so that defining moment is when, after that talk, I started focusing on transferring to that university, which happened. The second year I was in political science,
Yeah.
not business administration. Then another one, when I finished university, I had ranked, my GPA was second in the faculty, but my parents did not want me to go abroad for a master's. So when I had my BA in political science, one of my teachers, a very important professor in Turkey, even now, he ran into me on campus one day and he said, with this GPA out of 4, you know, 352 or something, why aren't you thinking of going abroad? Didn't you apply at universities, which everybody was doing? Being an American university, all my friends were applying at universities in the US. I said, no, my parents can't afford it. They don't want me to go. He said, no, that can't be. There is something called Fulbright Scholarship, which I had not known in my life. So Fulbright, they have an office in Ankara, and the office was headed by his friend. He picks up the phone that day, learns about the deadline for applications. He says, you know, I'm writing the reference letter and sending her application form. Can you wait for her? Because the deadline was in 2 or 3 days in Ankara, and we are in Istanbul.
Yeah.
So last minute application, which I didn't, because Fulbright scholarships are so competitive, I didn't think I would get it anyway. I didn't tell my parents. But then I was chosen for the interview in Ankara. So what do? Your parents don't want you to. So I went to Ankara secretly.
Okay.
And, you know, took a bus, 6 hours, and took the interview. There was an interview done by Americans, and then I got the scholarship. So it was a big shock to my family because my mom never wanted me to leave her side. My dad's idea of her daughter was just to get married. No need for masters. Just start working at a bank or at a small job in Istanbul. Stay there for all my life, and because he didn't let my mother work as a primary school teacher.
Now, Her Excellency, I
So,
want to ask something about, the trajectory of your life. And you mentioned briefly about the United Nations. Can you tell us, you being in New York, working or doing your internship in the United Nations, tell us a bit about that experience. I mean, considering where you're coming from and just pursuing your study, tell us about that experience
Yes.
in the UN.
So I went for a master's
Yeah.
to University of Washington in Seattle, Washington. I finished my master's towards the end. Since I always wanted to work for a multilateral institution, I started, towards the end of my master's, I started applying for UN in New York, United Nations in Geneva, UNDP, European Commission,
Yeah.
all those institutions, the ones in Vienna as well. And then I got this internship offer from New York. That was the only way I could stay a little longer in the US. So I moved from Seattle to New York with my visa situation, because with Fulbright you have to go back to Turkey. You have to go back to your country. So that was my dream. I did my internship for 3 months. And then I wanted to apply. That was in 1992.
Wow.
To become an international bureaucrat. Unfortunately, the Secretary General, Boutros Ghali at the time, put a hiring freeze to the whole UN system. So I had to come back, and then, the diplomatic career started. Yeah.
Now, as someone who has lived in Azerbaijan, Belgium, Germany, and also, the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, can you tell me about that experience? And also just pouring into years later now, you find yourself assigned to coming to South Africa. What was your first impressions about the country and the people?
Yes, first of all, it's a career of 31 years.
Yeah.
And diplomacy is like this. Your government decides where you will be posted next. So you don't really have much control over your destiny, which I liked. You know, somebody else deciding for me where I would live the next 4 years. You know, that kind of a career was exciting for me. I didn't have to make decisions. Now that I'm retired, it's very scary actually to make decisions about my life, take the responsibility. So at the time, my postings were Brussels, Baku, Berlin, Nicosia, and then came the post of ambassadorship in South Africa. So I am grateful for all the postings that I did, you know, it's expanding horizons and getting to know new cultures. But I had never lived in Africa. And in Africa, I had only seen Tunisia as a tourist.
Wow.
So it was my first experience, very, very different for me and my daughter, because I had lived only in the periphery of Turkey, you know, in the countries nearby Turkey.
Yeah.
So when I first came in, 1st of July 2021, the first week, looting started.
Oh, wow.
So I was
What a
like, you know,
welcome.
watching it from home, because coming here by plane, I had hurt my foot. I broke my toe. So actually, I was at home in a moon boot, you know, couldn't really get to know my staff, or couldn't really have a good start because, you know, I had to deal with doctors. And then the looting starts and you can't get out of the residence at the time in Pretoria. And we were thinking, my daughter and I, you know, where did we come to? You know, people calling from Turkey, what's happening in South Africa? As you know, for a week or 8 days it went on. So that was a really fast jump into the work, because I had to work on somehow saving the factory in Durban of Defy. Defy is Turkish, and they employ 2,500 people in Durban, and the looting was actually happening in those, you know, premises. And I had to call lots of officials who did not know me. I had not presented my credentials. It was my first week. So it was a very fast start.
Yeah.
And it got me connected well, actually. Started, you know, getting to the Muslim community as well, because mosques and stuff. So it was very interesting. Then, of course, my impression of South Africa evolved over time, of course, in the past 4 years.
I want to park your career, your professional life, and I want to just touch base on you as a mother, seeing that we're in the month of Women's Month. And I would like for you to talk to me about, and I believe that this was also one of your defining moments, having your daughter. And you spoke about something that many parents who are working, they feel guilty about, not having enough time for their children, not being able to be part of every milestone for their children. Can you take me through that? Like, what were you feeling? How did you navigate it? And what advice you would share to other women out there who still carry the guilt?
Yeah, I've always carried it, and I still do. When we came, she was in 11th grade.
Ah.
She did her 11th grade in high school. She did her matric. Now she's doing her 3rd year at UP,
Yeah.
studying PPE. And so I had to work really hard in a country that I didn't know much about. You know, all those times spending away from her, that is important. And maybe somehow I am still trying to make up for the lost time by being here, following her back to South Africa instead of staying in Istanbul and she's studying here.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I ended my career, I got retired and doing other stuff now, and, you know, I wanted to be with her.
Yeah.
And when your daughter is 20 years old, you are like her, you know, she's like your friend. It
Yes.
is very important. And I am doing my passion. I discovered my passion in South Africa more in this diplomatic career. You
Yeah.
are inside a bureaucratic system, big system that's really bigger than you. But the purpose that you find and the meaning that you find in life, for me, it is service to humanity, service to the people. I have served my government long time. Now I want to serve the disadvantaged in South Africa, and that gives me the most meaning and purpose in life. And my daughter sees that. She is taking part in my project. It is about women empowerment. It is about empowering the boy child. So this is what makes me happy in South Africa, because in our 50s now, this is a time when you want to give back and pay it forward. Until now, you know, I was very busy building my career, my life. This is the time when I need to give back and find meaning in giving back to the communities. And the South African people, for me, among all the countries that I lived in, are the best people to really work with and collaborate and get close to. The sincerity, authenticity of the people. That's why I'm here.
Plug it. Now, with that being said, I want to, unfortunately, we are running out of time. I would like for you to talk me through some of the initiatives that you just, you know, briefed us into, which is the first one is what about the boys campaign and the writers club? What do they mean for you, and can you tell me in terms of how are you remaining involved in these initiatives amongst the numerous initiatives you're part of?
Yeah. I'll speak very fast. When I was the ambassador here, I made good friends with AFCAF SA. You know, AFCAF, my friends Harun Kalla, Mikhail Collier, Shiraz Ghani, and all the AFCAF team. I said, let me establish a fund, a women's fund, and I will bring in my own funds to start projects, because I was doing around 20 projects a year with TICA, with Turkish government funds, but there's a lot of bureaucracy involved. It takes 6 months. So I was frustrated with it. I said, why don't I do my own projects? And I came up with What About the Boys project, because to counter GBV, we need to go to the boys. We need to engage with them. We need to listen to them. It's very hard to be a man in South African society. We need to do something about their loneliness and why they are doing, let's say, domestic violence and stuff. So empowering the boy child is very important. I have a team of 15 voluntary speakers. We go to township schools, talk to around 50 boys from 6th to 8th grade about the issues, substance abuse, bullying, and all that. Once a month in a township school in South Africa, Gauteng and other, and this is I'm doing other provinces. This is I'm doing under AFCAF SA Women's Fund. Then I established the Writers Club with girl teenagers from township schools, because they are dealing with all these social problems that we see in some families. So I want them to write. You know, they used to come to my residence. Now we are meeting at my house, around 20 girls. We read books, we write, and for them it's something different, and they can talk about their problems in a safe space. So that these are all touching on psychology, you know, my passion to begin with. And then I have Women in Action, TV show on INX, as you know. I'm talking with women leaders, and I want to get the word out about this. Let's give up on this mindset of what is in it for me. You know, when we look at life and when we look at engagements and relationships, let's just give. This is called altruism, I guess. Let's just give without expecting anything in return. More and more women, we don't need to expect it from men all the time, but more and more women doing projects for other women and for the boys especially. That's the message I want to give about charity in South Africa. We need to do more and give to the communities. That's my whole message.
Now, I know your biggest theme that started when you were an ambassador, bridging, or rather building bridges.
Yes.
And I think this is such a beautiful legacy, because you started it as an ambassador and you're continuing with it after you have retired. And I love how you are working alongside your daughter in terms of showing her what it means to give back, what it means to work with community at that. And I think for that, being in the beautiful month of women, because women are always giving in terms of nurturing, building homes, building society. What would be your reflection that you hope people see through your work, see through the engagement that you have with communities and through your show at that.
Yes. So leadership is about inspiring and motivating and uplifting each other. So when we're all leaders in our communities in our own right, in different walks of life, right? Let's, instead of, I'm thinking, let's say there's a whole month in South Africa, not in other countries. We have March 8th, International Women's Day, and that's it. One whole month dedicated to women. Instead of celebrating all over the place, celebrating each other and our successes and achievements, let's all go to the rural side and townships and go to those women and launch a project every single day of this month. Tangible projects. Instead of, we don't need that encouragement from each other. We don't need that motivation. Those women out there need that motivation. Those boys out there need to be engaged with, need to be listened to. We need to see them. We need to go to them. We need to educate them, and it's like values education. So they don't grow up to be intimidated by strong women around them. They don't grow up to be using violence to show that they are men, you see? So they need our help. Instead of sitting here, let's just do more. That's why I want to inspire everyone to be on the ground and touching those lives that we don't see in our day-to-day lives here.
Her Excellency, thank you so much for showing us a different side to you that is outside of, the formal suits and, the bureaucracy that you spoke about. Thank you so much for telling us in terms of, connecting with us as a mother, as a leader, and as a community, or rather future shaper at that. But Jazakallah so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Viewers at home, that was my amazing conversation in terms of speaking all things defining moments in the life journey of the former Turkish ambassador, who is now, without the title, doing so much impeccable work in terms of shaping communities, building communities, uplifting communities. That was my guest, Her Excellency Ayşegül Kandaş. But viewers at home, let's head over to a break. We'll see you just after this.